First one. Okay.
I've been,
Well,
first one, and I've been offered before, but like those times I felt like I didn't have much emotion. I mean, I can talk, I'm a salesman. I
yeah.
can talk about anything. I didn't want to hop on a podcast unless, I had real business shit I was doing that I could talk about.
Mhm.
So I thought this was a nice time to do it.
Yeah. Good deal, man. No, I'm glad to hear it. Everybody that's tuning in, thank you so much. We're back for another week. This week, Louie Aponte, um, someone I found on Instagram, I think just through like posting lifestyle content, to say the least.
Yes.
One of those where like I think you liked my story or something, and sometimes it's legit, sometimes it's not. But I know everybody has that happen, and I was like, oh, this is sick. Okay, cool, good for like visualization. So we're gonna definitely get into that. Obviously, we just kind of hit on you're in the sales game. You're also an active investor. So there's a lot of parallels in this, and you want to make money from your Instagram. So,
Yes, sir.
Louis, thanks for coming, man. How's it going?
Hey, man, it's going fantastic, man. It's Friday. It's Q4, man. We're trying to, get creative, see what strategies have been working this year, what's not. Really trying to move the needle here at the end of the year if we can. And, got some big stuff planned, coming up. So got to make sure we have the money for that.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I'm pumped to get into that because you have a very unique sales background compared to a lot of the internet sales guys I'd say I have on
Mhm.
here
Okay.
in the past. So yeah, you're actually in logistics sales, and I know we were
Correct.
talking before the pod. Can you first talk to me about how really where did the journey start with sales? Like, is there anything important about like your childhood that you think we need to know that would kind of pull the story together when we're all
Of
said and
course,
done?
man. Of course. Of course. Yeah, it's crazy, when you're a young kid, like people say, "Oh, I can see you being a lawyer. I can see you being this," but I never heard anybody tell me I could see you being a salesman. Nor does someone say like, "Oh, you'd be a great salesman. You should go into sales." Like I never really heard that. And in college, for whatever reason, they're not really talking about that as a job option either. But it's crazy. I had my first like legitimate job when I was in college one summer. I'm probably like a freshman in college. It was a door to door job, $15 an hour. I was like, great, $15 an hour. Like, who's paying that? Like, these other places, I feel like they weren't paying crap. They were paying like $7.50. You know what I mean? So I was already stoked right there. And this guy's saying, I got to go door to door, knocking door to door. It's a window company. It's called Anderson. Huge company. Most people have probably heard of it before. And all I had to do was get the people to agree to get a window quote. So not even sell the window, just agree to have some guy come look at their windows and give them a quotation. And it was like $150 for quote, like something
Nice.
pretty legit. And like this guy was selling me, obviously telling me I can make a lot of money. I only did it for the summer. I killed it. But what I realized during that time is, if you're a better salesman, you're better with people, you can there's a lot of different tricks, empathy gets you in the door kind of thing, once they can trust you, then they're actually listening to what you're saying. You'll be able to see, what their pain points are, and you'll be able to actually be a consultant, and they'll trust you, and you'll be able to close the deal. But what I learned going door to door is that sales is just a numbers game. Doesn't matter how good you are really at it. If you do the numbers, you hit the doors, you hit the calls, you work on your script, you're saying the right stuff, you're reaching the right people. As long as you put the numbers in, you should always get the results, man. And it's just a matter of one of those jobs where if you like to work hard, you like to compete, you like to see your work result into more money, then it's probably the job for you. So, after that door to door job, I ended up taking an internship that was for operations for a startup company in Atlanta. It's called Pad Split. They actually they focus on like, real estate, shared living kind of thing. So they rent out, rooms to members of, investors that they have, people that, come on and split their pad to say the least. So if you got a house, they'll take the house, they'll renovate it to make it more units, and then they'll fill all those units for you. So property management company, to say the least, on the startup side. I came in
Mhm.
operations, was doing pretty much everything, and then they threw me into sales. They were like, man, we got all these rooms. We got to get some heads in these beds. Like, can you try to close deals and put people in these rooms? Like, they had a crazy commission they came up with to give me. I absolutely murdered it. And then I was like, okay, maybe this sales thing is what I can do. Next thing you
Right.
know, somebody from my high school, two guys actually, one that I played soccer with, one that I played basketball with, they both told me like, hey, they work at UPS. They're doing a little bit of cold calling, but like, you can get promoted quickly and, to an account executive. So inside sales rep promoted to account executive, you do less cold calls after that. You make more money. You get to go out, see, meet business owners, do stuff on the ground. It's a legitimate job, legitimate company. And this is when COVID came around, and at my startup company, they were taking away some money, having to drop some people off. I felt like I was one of the top guys, so I wasn't necessarily worried about my job, but I was looking for maybe some more security. So went to UPS, 2.5 years at UPS, knocking on my door, another logistics company, now, so I'm still doing the logistics sales thing. And, that's kind of how I got to where I'm at. I know that was a lot.
No, that was sick. I liked how you tied that together. Because a lot of people they are starting door to door. I think a lot of my audience they're door to door solar, and that's what they're being told is like a great in. And I would, based on what I've heard, I've never done it myself. I could see why it's a good industry to get a start in because you're gonna get a lot of people who don't necessarily believe in you, but that's kind of good. It's good to get those reps of like the people that just aren't caught up with the technology yet, and that's totally fine. And like same
Right.
in your case, like but it's cool to hear, that you were able to see that those opportunities are available at UPS. Because a lot of people
Yeah.
they hear UPS and they just think driver,
That's exactly what they
load the
think
trucks.
if I drove. I'm like,
Yeah,
no.
right? Like, and it's not not a bad life, right? Like work 3 days a week, make, 6 figures a
Yeah.
year. Like you can't beat it. But now when you were for those that did maybe it's their first time, just like it's me, knowing that you could even be an account executive, potentially at UPS. What is that like a union type thing too, where you're getting paid like a salary plus commissions, or like what can somebody
Salary,
expect going into that?
salary plus commission.
Nice.
Big corporation, salary's a little bit weaker.
Okay.
Commissions capped.
Gotcha.
You're
Okay.
there for the security.
Yep.
And stock bonuses once you reach, a certain level, which I did, account executive. You get,
Nice.
annual stock bonus. That's huge. UPS is obviously a great company, great stock. You're gonna retire with millions of dollars.
Nice.
If you
Yeah.
stick with that
And
company.
that's good
But
for people to hear. Yeah.
that first 5 years, probably not. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's what I realized. And I think things are different today than what they used to be. Our parents might say, hey, you stick with the same job, you put your time in with one company, it pays off. Nowadays, man, if you really want to get the annual increase that maybe you deserve or maybe that you're worth, you probably do have to go to another company because you're not going to make an extra $20,000 on an annual base increase at a company. But if you go to a new company, you can get that much money on a roll change. So that's something that I've had to realize, and I know I've seen a lot of people do it that way, and they've gotten to themselves, an unbelievable place, and now they're somewhere where they can stay. But they've worked for 3 or 4 companies, in the process. So
Yeah.
you can't
I
get
think you're
comfortable.
I think you're hitting on a good point there. And we talk about like the mindset game with this a lot,
Yeah,
where like you're obviously somebody who's not afraid to like understand your value and know where like be actively going to find where you're going to be
exactly.
paid for that value. A
And
lot of
then,
people are afraid to do that. They know they'd rather be the high performer in a small pond that's not getting paid their worth because everyone looks at them maybe higher at some state, and it's purely because
right,
they're afraid to take the chance and
right,
go ask for what they feel they're worth. How do you know you're worth that much if you don't ask? That's how I always feel. You obviously you did 2.5 years at UPS. That's a long fucking time in the
right,
world of shiny object syndrome. I mean,
right.
you went through that's 27 months of being like, okay, this is where I want to be, and that's a good amount of time to say, okay, hey, maybe I'm worth a little more than what I'm here.
Listen, man, I was getting called out as one of like the top AE in the company, and this was like out of 800 AEs. And I'm still not really getting paid like when I think I should be getting paid. Promotions are politics are involved. That first promotion it took a year. I was ready to go in 4 months, 6 months. But the way it works, stuff has to be open. That it's not really up to you. And
Gotcha.
sometimes it's not the company's fault that they can't afford you or that they can't take you to the next level in the time that you want to. And that's why you have to always remember that you have to do what's best for you. That you are just a number to these people. Like yes, you build relationships. Some of them become your real friends. I've had bosses that are my real friends. Old bosses I talk to them like friends. But at the same time, when I left, they knew I had to do what was best for me, and they didn't hate on me for it. And people that do, those are not the people you want to work for anyway.
Right, 100%. And that's good. You
Yeah.
identified like it's good to hear you say, like those people do exist in companies like that because they may not
Yeah.
think that there's people who think like
They
them.
do.
But like my uncle always tells me, he worked for Caterpillar for a long time, and he worked his
Nice.
way to a very high spot. And he would always say, I was like I had an entrepreneurial mindset within the corporate business, and he's like,
Mhm.
that's what catapulted me to like higher levels faster than anyone else. And it sounds like you really had that approach. So it's cool to hear that, because it's like it shows you the value in learning sales, learning marketing, kind of like if you're somebody in a business role, an account executive role, really take the entrepreneur stuff seriously and like,
And
learn what those guys are doing.
for sure, man. There's so much on social media nowadays. It's just the 9 to 5 is dead, American dream's dead. Entrepreneur life. They're just pushing the entrepreneur life. And man, I love the entrepreneur life. I would love to be my own boss. I'd love to quit the 9 to 5 and work for myself. But the 9 to 5 is not dead. That
No,
is how you can potentially get to where you want to be on the entrepreneur life. You know what I mean? That's potentially how you can make money. It's just a different world today. You got to be more strategic. You got to know when it's time to stay and when it's time to go. And you can't ever get comfortable and stop exploring, because there's a lot of stuff out there. There
yeah,
really
and
is.
it's like, and I like how you've framed that, because we're playing the same game, right? Like as
Mm-hmm.
somebody who's just building their agency maybe every single day, transitioning to each product or transitioning to each new partnership or whatever we have to do is very much the same as moving to a different job, because I think it's the same thing. I see value utilizing this product more than this one now. Or
Mm-hmm.
I see value, like here's a value add way to this product. It's the same thing if you're in a job and you add a new skill set and that allows you to get paid more. It's
Yeah,
very much the same. So no matter what path you're on, whether you're just your own boss or you're in the 9 to 5 grind, you can take that mindset and just like continue to identify what you're good at, what you like to do, and obviously what's bringing value um, to the
you
place that
can.
you're at or the company you're
You
working
can. And the tough part about the corporate world is you never know what you're going to get until you start the job, until you get in there. They're going to tell you what you want to hear. Because look, they got a job to do, and that's to close. That's to fill that position. That position needs filled. So, especially when
for.
you're going from another company, if this other company, they're trying to poach you. They're going to tell you exactly what you want to hear. The worst parts about the company, they're not going to mention to you. You're going to have to go there and figure that stuff out yourself. You can talk to someone in your role before going over. You might be able to dig some of that stuff out, but it's
Yeah.
tough, man. You never really figure it out until you get there, and there's no such thing as the perfect job.
Yeah, no such thing as perfect job. Excuse me. That's interesting. Cool, man. Well, we'll kind of transition here.
Yeah,
Obviously, it's not the only thing you're focused on right now, but I am curious. Let's go down the investing rabbit hole, because this is one of
yeah.
those. It's like another stream of income. When we talk about having the 7 streams of income, I highly recommend you learn investing, because it's
Oh
a
yeah,
skill set that you'll never go hungry if you learn how to invest your money properly. So
yeah.
take me
Without a
through
doubt.
that a little bit. Where are we currently at with investing, and how did we get here?
Of course, man. So I actually went to school for financial planning, and
Cool.
I didn't even know what that was. I was in finance. I transferred to UGA, so I played soccer at Georgia Southern for two
Nice.
years on a scholarship.
Cool.
Realized I wasn't going to play pro, wasn't playing that much at all. I was like, man, let me see if I can get a little bit better degree. So I transferred to UGA, was in finance. But over at UGA, they have a very competitive business school that you have to apply for. And, you could potentially not get in, even if you have all the parameters, and you can end up having to be in school longer. So I transitioned to a different, family of consumer sciences or something like that. And they had a degree called financial planning, which is basically, you want to be a financial planner or a financial advisor. And they teach you everything about investing, everything that they don't teach anybody else. And these kids that graduate with doctorate degrees and everything, they don't even know what to do with their money once they get it. This is such great information that I just couldn't believe like they're not teaching as regular curriculum. So
Hmm.
I came out of there knowing exactly how to invest in, 401k, Roth IRA, stocks long term. I know how to diversify my portfolio to be successful, but I haven't let it stop me from taking the cash I have and trying to do something with that. You know what I'm saying? I would say, have some type of retirement plan, whether it's 401k or Roth IRA. I have both. The Roth IRA is nice because if you need that money, you can take it out without any penalty. If you got a big purchase you want to have, like, you're buying your first property. So, that's something that's nice there. It's nice to start building some kind of shares portfolio there. I own shares. I was in crypto pretty heavy at one point.
Hmm.
Um, had to sell some stuff when I was buying my first property. And I haven't bought back in since. Unfortunately, I'm just kind of going to focus on the stock market, I think, at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, in
So
real
for me,
estate. So
yeah, for me,
yeah.
investing like long term is the game for me is definitely real estate. As things are getting a little dicey right now with the way the economy is. I don't know if I made the right move or not, but I bought my first property over a year ago. Got in about 5%. So
Mhm,
still pretty high.
mhm,
My mortgage is definitely pretty high, but I got equity on my buy, so that's
mhm.
huge. I could use that equity on my next property if I want through a HELOC loan, and if I can get equity again, I can continue to do that. And not have to put as much cash down. I did do an FHA, so I could put less cash down, but obviously with
Nice.
the FHA, we got a little more. The mortgage is a little bit higher, and you
Right.
got the MIP, which is what you have to pay that premium because you didn't put 20% down. But yeah, for me, I would love to keep buying properties and move people in to the ones that I'm leaving and passive income that way. It's a long term game. You might be breaking even, you might be making a couple $100. When repairs come in, you're still breaking even. But I think 10 years later from now, you're going to see some serious passive income on those real estate investments because at the end of the day, this is what I know. There's more people than ever before. Population's growing like crazy. There's less people building homes than ever before. A lot of the older guys who are used to building homes, they're all retired, and the younger guys aren't getting into the business because it's not as profitable because the materials are so much more expensive today. So
Mhm,
that Airbnb taking up a ton of property, and these big corporations also taking up a ton of property because they know it's a great investment themselves. Guys like me and it's not as easy to buy stuff, and stuff's going up in price. And as there's less availability and everything's so expensive, more people are going to need to rent. So the rental prices are probably going to go up like crazy too. So that's what I see happening. That is where I really see my generational wealth coming from in the future. Is definitely real estate, and I'm definitely passionate about it. Other than that, I'm trading options, and I'm trying to create passive income in other places like social media, and anywhere I can, different income streams. I've had some that I've tried, have failed, and I have some that have been somewhat successful, but need some more work.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, you're playing the game, right? And it's like
Mhm.
you don't know. I think once something does start to click, you'll kind of go through the phase of like deciding, is this just something I'm good at, or is this something I actually love to do and I'll
Right,
actually
right.
grow? Because I've had some mistakes that have done really well, and they were just
The,
like, you know what I mean? Like you kind of go through
yeah,
that phase where it's like it's making good money, but like I don't really want to wake up every day and like push this, and it's like
man, I hear
interesting.
you.
Yeah, and it's like
I hear you.
you think, oh, it's such a good problem to have, and it kind of is because what I always do is I just pull back. Okay, what worked with that, and what am I really trying to do right now with that? Like there's other ways to go around it so that you feel better about it. But yeah, I think trading options, that's something I've picked up in the last 3 months. So it's cool to
Oh,
hear you say that. Yeah, how long have you been trading options? Why do you think people should get started if they haven't?
of course. So I started trading options when I was still in college.
Cool.
Really had no idea what I was doing. And people suggest paper trading to start so you don't lose real money. But
Mhm.
for me, I had money and I was ready to go, so I was like, man, let's just do it with the real money. I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I
Fuck yeah.
lost
Yeah.
a lot of money. And fast forward 5 years to today, like there was times in there, year 2, year 3, where I was still kind of losing money because I really didn't know what I was doing, or I thought I did, but I didn't really have a strategy. I didn't really know about the discipline, didn't know about the greed. I didn't see the big picture, and it
Mhm,
really wasn't until this year, man. I'll be honest with you, where
mhm.
everything started clicking, and I became profitable, and I found my strategy that was consistently profitable.
Yeah.
I do blue chip techs is like the main stuff that I trade. Short term calls. I do puts too, obviously, but short
Yeah.
term calls is usually where I'm at.
Mhm.
And we're looking to shave 5 to 10%.
Yeah.
Don't need much more than that. If we can get 30, 50%, 100%, great. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But we're not greedy. We're looking to
Right.
lock that 5, 10% on the strategy every single day because that money adds up quick, especially if you
Yeah.
have a lot of money you're trading with. 5% of $10,000 is a nice amount of money. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it adds up quick, man. And that was what I realized. I realized that I need to stop trying to hit the home run and just get the small, consistent win that I know I can hit every time. Because I was sitting there trading, and I'm like, man, I'm in profit every trade, but sometimes I'm in profit and then it goes away and then I end up losing. So like maybe I just need to not be so greedy. Maybe I need to trade with more. And I realize how easy it is for the guys with more money to be profitable and to be right. It's just so much easier because they don't need nearly as many percentage points to make the money they're looking to make.
Yeah, 100%. Interesting. No, that's cool. And now, those first few years, were you in a group of any sort? Because I know you have that trading group now that you're in. We
Right.
can talk about that as much as you'd like,
Uh-huh.
but were you in any groups early on? Because you talked about kind of doing it yourself. I'm kind of curious.
There was this guy, what was his name? Tilio Scalps, something
Okay.
like that. So I'm a scalper, the people who do swing trades and, you trade and you're taking it to the next day. Anything I trade, I'm looking to sell it that same day. I'm looking to
Yeah.
sell it in 5 minutes, 10 minutes. That's
Yeah.
the ideal trade for me. It happens that fast.
Yeah.
So that I guess maybe studying that guy, he had a Discord. I think me
Yeah.
and my buddy were splitting it. I tried taking people's trades like as a thing. That wasn't working that well for me, but I was learning how he traded in the
Mhm.
meantime. And people
Yeah.
who come under me, it seems like that's what they do as well. Maybe they don't take my strategy, but when they see how I trade, they see how, the right way to do it, and they kind of find their own strategy in the meantime. I tell people all the time, what happens to your trade is kind of irrelevant, to be honest. Whether you make money or lose money, you shouldn't focus on that so much. You shouldn't focus on the cash so much. You should just focus on what you did and how you managed the trade. Meaning, how much money did you put down in your portfolio? Was it a clear trade that you could have put your full port on? And then, was it not a great trade, a riskier one? That means you should have put way less. And when you
Mhm.
put way less and you got in the profit, you got to put your stop loss in. There's a lot of, things that I teach and I preach, and I tell people that as long as they follow those things, it really doesn't matter what trades they take, as far as long as they're following their strategy, that over time they should become profitable. It's just following
Interesting.
the rules and not getting greedy. It's just there's so much emotion involved
Mhm.
that you have to try to be able to control your emotions. People know exactly what to do and do the wrong thing still.
So do you recommend, like, do you have a straight set of like pillars that you follow every single day when it comes to your trading strategy? Not saying you have to give it away because I know you have
Yeah,
that your group, but like I would kind of like to know, like, where do you think people should put more emphasis versus like less?
great question. Yeah, I think it's nice to have some indicators, like some signals that you're looking. Whether it's on the candle chart, you're looking for a couple closed green candles. You're looking for volume to increase. You're looking for the moving average to increase. People use those kind of indicators. Some people will draw their resistance and their support. Like the day before, and try to wait for those certain levels to get hit, and like that's kind of their way of trading. For me, my specific strategy, it's we are what we're trading is what's hot right now, right this day, right now in the stocks that we trade. So I'll throw some out there. Netflix, Apple, Meta, Google, Nvidia, AMD. These are some of the big ones that we trade. So whatever one's up that day, that's the one I'm looking at. And I'm not just jumping into the trade. I wait pretty much every day until 10 o'clock. Try to wait that first 30 minutes to see what happens. Try to have the market pick a direction. You know what I mean? I tell people not to try to guess what the market's about to do, but to just see that it's doing it and then agree with it and to just join it. And when you
Mhm.
join it, what it's already doing and telling you it's doing, you will ride that wave for as long as you want to ride it with. If you get into profit, put your stop loss at break even. So the worst thing that happens is that you don't make money, you don't lose money. And then if it goes a little bit higher, put your stop loss at 10% profit. You know what I mean? So now you're locking profit. And this is the strategy you should stick with on every single trade that you take. In my opinion, that's my strategy. Some people don't like a stop loss. They want to hold, they want to see their play develop. No, man, if the play's bad, take me out. Why would I stay
Mhm.
in? Let's
Yeah.
cut it. Let's get into something new. So yeah, my whole thing is don't try to guess what's going to happen. Wait for the confirmation of what's happening. And when it's happening, it's very obvious. Everything's green, everything's going up, or everything's red and everything's going down. You know what I mean? Those are the clear times. And that's when you can hold your cash and you're waiting for those times. So when that time comes, great. Now I can put $5,000 on this trade. So if I hit 50%, I just made $2,500. You know what I mean? I'm not going to put that trade on the days where half of the stuff's green, half of the stuff's red. It's consolidating. It's not really going anywhere. There's not any real motion. That's when you really grow as a trader, is when you realize there's times to play and there's times not to play. Don't let the
Yeah.
market play you. You play the market.
Yeah, no, you hit a lot of good points on there, especially like just watching what the market tell you what it's doing. Don't guess it. I think that's
Yeah,
huge.
man.
Because you kind of simplify it, right? Like obviously, if you wait for the market to open and then you see what it's doing, it's natural. It's not just gonna like automatic. Not all the time, like you mentioned, is it just gonna go like this? So like just
Mm-hmm.
ride it like that and don't sit on it for God forbid how long.
Right,
But obviously,
right.
and the stop loss too. I think that's important. Like you mentioned, putting a stop loss at break even, and if it's significantly trending up, putting a stop loss at 5 or 10% profit. That's a
The
great way,
biggest,
especially for those that are starting out. Like, why? I always say this: don't risk more money than you're willing to lose. And even if it's
yeah.
small, use what you win, quote unquote, and reinvest that. Great. You use 300 to make
Mhm.
500. Now you've got 500 to invest, or collect profit at 100 and do 400 to invest. Like, give
Exactly.
yourself those small.
I only tell people, risk what you're willing to lose when I'm doing like a lotto swing. You know what I mean? That's not our strategy. We're just looking for a home run. Bet what you're willing to lose.
Yeah.
When you do a stop loss, you already control what the most you can lose. It's right there. You already
Right.
decided, okay, I'm putting down $2,000. The most I'm gonna lose is $100 today because I got
Yeah.
my stop loss at 10% or whatever. You know what I mean? That's how
Hmm.
you control it. What's happening? See, what happens is people's play starts going down. They're like, damn, man, I don't want to lose today. I'm going to take the stop loss off. The next thing you know, it just keeps going down and it keeps going down. And the next thing you know, they just lost a lot of money because they didn't want to be disciplined. They just went against what they knew. They went against the rules.
Yeah.
And
And
that's
it could have
it's in the
been
brain. It's
Could have
tough,
been
man.
avoided. And yeah, now, and what do you think about the community, Lucid Investing? How has that helped you? Do you recommend people that are just like, when is it a good time to join a trading community?
I think it's a good time anytime. I think it's a good time if you're earlier in your career, if you know what you're doing, but you don't have time to look at the charts all day, people are giving you plays. And
Yeah.
once you're comfortable and you know how to trade, like I'm telling you, like once you know how to trade, like, it's inevitable that you're going to win.
Hmm.
For people to be giving you plays and for you to be putting your stop losses in and know, okay, I'm going to look back at my phone in a second. My sell order is either going to be hit and I made money or I'm going to be stopped out. You know what I mean? I think it's great for people who are doing the 9 to 5 and who don't have time to sit there and try to trade. They get the signal, they get into the trade, they make their money. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
think it's
And
fantastic. I mean, Lucid, the owners of Lucid focus a lot on futures. There's only one other analyst besides myself who's giving out trading alerts for options. And I'll be honest, this guy, the other guy, he's a killer. And I'm really good too. I win a lot more than I lose. The whole thing I would say is it's sometimes it's harder for me to trade when I'm helping everybody else.
yeah, and I could see that, right? I'm in a
That's one
couple
downside.
things you hit on there. Me, I'm running my agency every day. I joined a trading group for that exact reason. I saw the potential in
Mm-hmm.
learning a skill set that could, if I spend a year on it to make 10 grand, an extra 10K a month, I'm
Huge.
totally willing to do it. And like you just mentioned, they're giving you the plays. So
Yes.
if you trust them enough to pay them $100 a month, or in my case, $50 a month, like then Garrett, like it's hard to believe that you wouldn't make at least double that back when their whole thing is always going to be that that you profit more. And if you know the guys behind it,
Yeah.
in my case, like I know the guys that are putting out calls are doing a
Uh-huh.
combined over 6 figures per month just
Incredible.
doing options trading. They do not work other jobs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really.
So when I hear that and I talk to these guys, and do your due diligence, I mean, I had to be like, it took me, I knew about the one I'm in, Investing Live for months before I joined because I wanted to watch. I was watching the wins. I was DMing people. I was like, oh, cool. Like, you're in this. What do you think? Do your due diligence because, like you said, everybody trades, quote unquote. But like they're specific that they only do options. So I like that. They're not teaching everything. They're saying, here's
Mhm.
what's worked for us. We only do options. Same in your case. Like, here's what's worked for me. Here's my entire strategy for free. If you're listening to this podcast, pretty
Mhm.
cool. You just even did that. But like, right, like, and it's working for me. Take it or leave it. I win more than I lose. If you're cool with that,
Exactly.
it should be worth an investment if X amount of money for my time. You
Right.
know?
Listen, I've seen lots of things like this, that exist. I've been part of them. Not all of them are trading. You see these sports gamblers are giving out picks. Listen, if you dive into something like this, you have to take every single pick. You have to take every single trade. I had these people who sign up under me. and they don't even they do their own trade or whatever. Like they don't even listen to what I'm telling them. And then they lose, and they're like, "Oh man, like I don't know if this is for me." I'm like, "How do you know? You didn't even try. You just did
Yeah.
your own thing. You paid for the service and then did your own thing. Do exactly what I'm doing. I'm taking the exact same trades as you. If I win, you win. And trust me, I'm winning a lot."
Here's a good litmus test for people that
It's
I
crazy.
recommend that join these groups and then complain about the cost because they think they're losing.
Yeah.
If your budget right now is 2 grand a month to invest in options or whatever the group is,
Yeah.
right? Take $1,000 and commit it strictly to the plays that that group that you're investing in is putting out, and take the other $1,000 and do whatever the fuck you
Genius.
want with it. Okay?
Genius.
And see who makes more. And if you win month one, then do it again for month two. And just see for if you could really commit for a year, then it becomes a game of like, okay, myself, I outperformed the trading groups I'm in. So let's see what I invested versus what I won. Still though, if you were spending $100 a month to make an extra $1,000 a month, you'd be dumb to leave that group that's literally doing all the work for you. Right?
Seriously.
So it's interesting.
I see where their head's at. I tell the guys I train that look, the goal is for you to learn how to do this on your own and quit and quit the Discord, and do your own thing and you can trade on your own. That is the
Yeah.
goal. But it's not gonna happen in week one.
Yeah.
You just got here. You don't know
Yeah,
anything
and
yet.
honestly, the way I see it, right, like with these, especially in the trading groups, and then also like there's all these free mastermind communities or whatever they're paid, like stack them. Why not have like 5 Discord groups that are giving you calls, and if each Discord group is performing 300% plus per month, then divide up your budget and do it. What Just try, like, what are the odds you might 5x your money, because that's like how the math works. But people get so scared, they're like, I'm gonna do this once, and then like, oh, like $50 is a big deal and $100 is a big deal, even though I'd make 1,000, but like it's
Yeah,
gonna take a month. And
it's crazy.
it is interesting. There's so much opportunity and there's so little people that take advantage of it. But that's why shows like this exist, right? If people don't watch us have this conversation, how do they know even there's trading groups out there that will literally do all the research for you, give you the numbers, and charge you a tenth of what, or even a hundredth of what you're gonna make them? Not much.
Man, I got a guy. He said today he hit his first 1,000.
I
It
saw
was
that
like
on your story. Yeah.
going like 3 weeks ago or something. It's $50 a week.
Yeah, that's literally like that's 2 weeks.
50 bucks a month.
And he
I'll be
might
already
be.
investment back.
Yeah, right. Like that's 2 weeks. Like that's two
Yeah,
weeks of work for some people, or like that's a week of work for a lot of people. And it's like you did it in 5 seconds. But just kind of like
exactly.
uh taking this down now. Your Instagram. Obviously, I want to talk about I go through there. Obviously, over 20,000 followers. I'm seeing all the traveling lifestyle content. Can you take us through that a little bit? I know you said you do a lot of that traveling on your own, but you also have done work with brands in the past. What
Right.
kind of you work with a travel agency?
Correct. It's called the Hotel Network.
Cool.
So similar to like Expedia.com. The website's at hotel.com. Just go on there to get discounts on hotel. Booking platform. So they also have like a sister company called Trip Scout, and that's kind of where like the creators came from, and that's how they came up with the idea to like, okay, like we're gonna recruit creators, and like these are gonna be the people who make all the content for all our pages that we have in all these different best travel locations, and like these are the people that are gonna be on the ground sharing like local information, local knowledge. So I was reached out to from some videos I had in Miami and some videos I had in Costa Rica. And they were like, hey, like, do you want to be one of our guys for our Costa Rica account and our Miami account? And I was like, yeah, like, let's go. Like, I get access to the account to like collaborate with the account. And I'm trying to grow. You know what I mean? Like, that sounds great to me. I don't even live in Miami, but I
Yeah.
go there a lot. So
Yeah.
it worked out in my favor. People started seeing like, how are you a Miami local? You don't even live in Miami. I'm like, man, I'm just playing the game.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
I'm in the right place at the right time, man. So
Yeah.
as far as payment goes, when I came on, they were like, there's going to be opportunities for like, we're going to be licensing for content in these areas at certain
Mhm.
times. So like, say like this month, they're buying content for Greece, Thailand, and New York. You understand? So if you're in one of those places or you happen to be traveling to one of those places, You shoot them your raw content. They will buy it. They will buy to have the licenses of it to be able to use it on their pages as they wish, and they pay decent to get
Cool.
that that
Can you
licensing.
can you
So
talk about what they typically would pay for like a post or a trip?
yeah, so like 10 raw clips that I made on my iPhone, $500.
Okay. So that
So
and then
these
and then in your case, like you mentioned, like you're paying that like covers your flight to the spot, right?
it,
Pretty much.
exactly. So there's
Yeah.
all kinds of different hacks with the travel within itself. So
Yeah.
when it comes to flights, get Sky Miles, play the credit card game. There's
Hmm.
always these bonuses going on. You sign up with this credit card. I got Amex, American Express. You'll get this amount of bonus miles. Use those miles, get some free flights. And this is something you can do when you already have, a house. Your credit score doesn't matter as much. You know what I'm saying? Another bonus, another year later, grab some more free flights. You know what I mean? That's
Hmm.
that's a little life hack. I'm trying to put that one on the YouTube one day.
Yeah, for sure. I've heard the credit card. I'm trying to learn that
Heard
stuff
about
too.
that with a credit card game? It's nothing secret. You see the
Yeah.
bonuses. You see them all the time. Hey, join this credit card. You get this bonus.
Yeah.
But that can affect your credit score if you're closing accounts, opening accounts frequently. So you gotta be
Right.
careful.
That's a good point. Yeah, exactly. And I always recommend just go find the all around like card. Like I just like paid off like a student like Discover thing. And like you said, there's no
Mm-hmm.
like bonuses with that other than like their cashback crap. And then but I was like with the business, it makes more sense to do like Capital One because there's travel benefits with it and I'm traveling
Yeah,
so
man.
much
I'm
for the
looking at
business
them right
anyway.
now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's like, oh, you just like paid off your first card, so here's what you should get next. And I'm like, okay, this is telling what it's telling me to get next. Let's just run it, pay it off, and then like get the next one. But definitely, I don't like these guys that say like get like 36 cards at a time. Like you just said, you're gonna
no,
just trash your credit, and you're only opening the door. Like if you don't think you could handle 30K cash in your bank, do not go get fucking 10 credit
no.
cards. You're gonna
And if
ruin
you
your
have a
life.
large credit line, be careful. My credit line's small.
Hmm.
I know people who got 30K credit lines and they put themselves in bad debt. Can't do
Yeah,
that too tough.
it's
So
like
yeah,
more. Yeah.
so working for the hotel network, they expect me to go kind of like the last deal that was available was like a Puerto Rico trip, a
Hmm.
couple $1,000s. You got to post X, three, two posts, three stories, whatever it was. Great opportunity. I
Yeah.
just didn't pursue that one for whatever reason. I had stuff going on. Hopefully,
Hmm.
there's more like that soon. You know what I mean? Because I would
Right.
jump at that. Obviously,
Yeah.
that was a paid trip. I've never had a full paid trip before.
Sick.
As far as working for traveling stuff on Instagram. In their eyes, they expect us to kind of outreach on our own to these hotels and these restaurants and be like, hey, I work for this company. These are the
Hmm.
accounts that I have. This is the reach I can get you. You want to make a deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and I mean, there's people that are, on the company that are doing really well and making great deals. You know what I mean? And because some of them are doing it full time for sure.
Cool.
For me, it's just not my full time thing. So, I haven't had the chance to do a lot of outreach. Haven't had a chance to, explore that. But what I have done is collaborate with every single account in the places that I've gone and just grow my account that way. My
Right.
account is where it is because of that company,
Cool.
1000%.
So, and what were
So
those companies again for people that
say
want
it
to
again.
get, what were those companies again for people that want to get started?
For sure. At Hotel. So it's called the Hotel Network. The
Hmm.
Instagram is at Hotel, HOTEL, and
Hmm.
then Trip Scout at
Cool.
Trip Scout,
Cool.
TRIPSCOUT.
Nice, man.
Yes,
Cool.
sir.
That's super dope. Because I know a lot of people, even that are working remote, like yourself, that are like, you got that,
And,
take advantage, man. Like you're so young,
and,
you're only young once. Like, go do these things, because
and I'm
you
learning
would,
about
yeah.
other ones that now that I didn't even know about. That they're all using too that I didn't know about. Travel something, travel this, travel that. That they basically have brands that are available on there, deals that are available on there for you to apply to for different
Cool.
hotels or different brands. So I'm like, man, I'm about to get on there and just go crazy.
Yeah,
For sure.
definitely. Dope,
For
dude.
sure.
Well, that was super cool. Now just kind of like the final few questions we usually run through here.
Yeah.
When I do, I always like to now I like to flip it back on the guest. What's the first question that comes to mind that you have for me?
First question I have for you, man, is where do you see this going? Do you see this being the number one thing?
What, the podcast?
Yeah.
I see it as something that I'll never stop doing. So like inevitably it's going to get big and I will
Uh-huh.
gain some recognition from it, but that's not like
Yeah.
the point of really doing it has always just been it's a good way for me to give other people a platform to,
Nice.
connect them. Like I've always just kind of been a connector. Yes, selfishly it does connect me with a lot of high level people, but
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like one of those things like I'm willing to have the conversations, I'm willing to do the outreach for it. I'm willing to like put myself out there and be like, do you even want to come talk to me for an hour? So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but I'm putting in the work and just everyone else. I've always said, like podcasts, the reason I got so obsessed with them was because I had this realization that when I would watch like a Joe Rogan and say like Elon Musk, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I figured, I go, what's the difference between me watching this and me just happening to be in the same room as these guys? And because like intelligence wise, I don't feel like I would contribute anyway, I would just be sitting there listening to it anyway. And I was
No,
like,
man. You contribute.
I know I could contribute, but like at some degree, it just put me in, and I was like, so I can put people in the room with people they wouldn't necessarily always
I
be in the
love
room
that.
with, and that is where I'm like, okay, I like this because my network
It's,
is decent and it's growing, and like I would have this conversation with you if we just met on Instagram anyway. So let's press record, and you get the benefit of some content, I have some content, and we can just keep on doing it. It doesn't take a lot of
I
time,
love where it
you
head's
know?
at.
Yeah,
There's so much talent out there. I've always like, been interested in like helping people get discovered. I got a small thing I got going right now. It's like it's an Instagram account. It's for guys. It's called Underground Kings kind of thing. Like
cool.
show putting people on the map that deserve to be on the map. So that's super exciting.
Yeah,
Are you like getting on Instagram? Like, are you trying to grow your Instagram at all? Or are you like just
yeah,
like whatever?
I've started just this year, I started taking it serious. I
Okay.
would say I was like, I just had this division between do I want to do like, it was like Profit Jack, it was a half of a character, but it was also like a business page. And I've kind of like had to have that realization where I really want my personal page to be me and just like all the authentic stuff. And then like the
Nice.
Profit Jack is going to be like more of a character that's just focused on my businesses and helping add value to those businesses. And it might
Oh
be
yeah.
more like theme page type stuff that helps people get rich, like the motivation. I think I'm just gonna have more of my creative side with that. And then like obviously the podcast page is just all gonna be podcast content.
That's
But
it.
like, it kind of I do say it spreads you thin, but I just have invested
Yeah.
in like managers to now help me like just manage the Instagram because like but where I'm putting all my attention is my personal Instagram. So that's why these travel things are interesting to me. It's like I'm gonna be
Nice.
working in these cities anyway. I don't
Hey.
want people to go to my main Instagram and think like I'm a one trick pony because I'm not,
Mhm.
and like those are cool things. And then if I can help people make money off those
Yeah,
things
you're
5 years
right.
down the line because I do it, like we're both in that kind of throw paint on the wall phase, and we're gonna get really good at certain things. And when we're,
Definitely.
5 years from now, we're gonna be able to just teach people those things that work for us. And that's where I see it being like a 10-year game, like you said, the long-term game. That's why it's a long-term game because you have to go through the 5 fucking years of learning it and applying it and then teaching it. Like a lot of people skip that. They want to get rich in a week.
I mean, I wouldn't be a true salesman if I didn't try to sell you something, right? But this is totally free. Don't freak
Yeah,
out.
no, the underground Kings thing sounds cool, dude. I
Hey,
like that.
so this is kind of a playoff on that. So I
Yeah,
got an internal group of people that mostly I'm friends with. Some of them are like you, or maybe we just know each other through Instagram. We've met one time, but I know that I see something in the person. You know what I'm saying? I'm in charge. I'm the one who decides who gets to add. I'm the one that decides if I don't think someone's really interested in it or not. It's just an engagement group. I'm sure you've heard of it before. It's
yeah,
basically just people who are trying to grow on Instagram, trying to grow their business. You got new content, you throw it in the group, we go check it out, man. That's literally all it is. And we go try to
five.
help each other grow, man. I would love to get you in there. If that's something you'd be interested
Yeah, I
in.
would do. I would probably do that. Yeah, that sounds cool.
You can throw your personal in there, or you can throw whatever from Profit Jack if you want as well. I got
Cool.
some guidelines. The main guideline is only one post a week that I would share.
Okay. Yeah. No, definitely. Yeah, definitely send me the info on that. And then obviously I'm glad other people have heard it. So if you've got dope content, reach out to Louie and get that done.
Boom,
Anything
for
that we
sure.
did, yeah, I mean, anything we didn't touch on, brother, that you want to kind of talk about, or if you want to plug
Man, it's been
anything,
a
now's
pleasure,
kind of the
man.
time.
Sorry we
Yeah.
didn't get enough time, man. There's just so much to talk about. we went all business with it. We didn't hit them with
Mhm.
much personal or anything like that.
Yeah, we did
Too much
go straight
thought.
business, but that's what it is, right? Like I tell people, I'm straight to the point. I'm less of the BS. People get to know you that want to get to know you, and we'll do it again, all right? Like I always tell people, I like to have guests come back. That's a good point you made. This time the guest got to get. I think you established your expertise, and kind of the next one where we'll dive into the story and the reason why behind it. But
Of
definitely
course.
thank you for coming on, man. I'm gonna get you these clips, and we'll collaborate, see what happens.
Hey, cheers, Jaguar. It's been a pleasure, man. To
Yes,
more
sir.
profit.
Yes, sir.
Let's
It's
do
more
it.
profit. I like it. Peace,
You
brother.
may
Thank
have
you.
to find it, man. I'll see you soon.
Yes, sir. Let me stop this.